welcome everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is doing all fine and well. Welcome everyone on another episode on Chai Chat and Community by Word Palette. I'm Mallika Bhadra, and as you can see on the screen, I'm joined by a very good friend and an amazing speaker from Sydney. But before I kind of get her to introduce herself, or before I introduce the topic, I would just like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting tonight, the people of the Kulin Nation. I would also like to pay my respects, to the elders past, present, and emerging. So tonight the topic that we're discussing is, I'm sure most of our listeners and audiences must have heard the recent incidents in the South Asian community where there were a few incidents while they were flying. There were cases of mishandling co-passengers. There were cases of inebriation, intoxication, and then slipping out of character, if that's a good way to put it. And that's why we have with us Ahalya, who's joining me from Sydney. We are going to have this conversation and just kind of take some words from her, take some learnings on to how to ensure our safety. If you're a solo traveler, how do you get to make sure you're safe? How are the laws governing that can provide you safety and provide you assurance that you're safe while you're traveling? So Ahalya, very warm welcome on Chai Chat and Community. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thanks, Chris. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity and, connect to the audience via this channel. Thank you.
Pleasure is always mine, Ahalya. But before we move on, why don't we have a little bit about yourself from you to our listeners and audiences?
Yeah, absolutely. Before that, first, my acknowledgement to the country. I respect all the elders, past, present, and future, connecting to this land. I always respect this land, which has given me bread and butter and a voice to speak. With me, my name is Ahalya, and I had been the ex-senior cabin crew for Saudi Arabian Airlines, flying for more than 7 years. But currently, also besides, I'm an engineer, and currently I'm an engineer by trade, and I work for the supply chain industry. And besides, I'm a very active community worker in the community, a social activist trying to bring the changes where the community is fighting for the basic needs, especially identifying the gap between the community and the council and try to bring feasible solutions and bridge the gaps between them. So that's what I do.
Amazing. Like, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, Ahalya. But the reason why we are here, right? We've all heard of the incidents that have occurred, and needless to say, they're very unfortunate. And well, I don't want to get into the other.
I understand.
Yeah. The first things first, Ahalya, why do we see that there is a surge in these incidents recently? Why have they increased? What's causing them?
Well, to be very honest with my experience, this incident has been happening or occurring from past, but there's a lot of awareness recently because of social media, because of a lot of apps like Facebook, Twitter, Insta, where people can instantly take out your phones and record it and just post it then and there. But if you look the same thing 10 years ago, this social media, or there was no much active socials, or people were not aware of it. So that's why these incidents were not so, outspoken. But yes, these incidents always happen. This is not very new in the airline industry, but it depending on the severity of the case, the actions are taken by airlines and also via DGCA.
Yeah. But Ahalya, moving on, we were speaking about safety also, right? So if you are traveling solo, and especially young females are traveling solo, what are the top 3 things they should keep in mind to ensure that they are safe on a long haul flight?
Yeah. See, first thing is irrespective male or female or other gender, as a person, they should be aware of the basic rules and regulations of the aircraft. They should be aware, let's say, the basic information like what are they traveling, where are they traveling, which flight or which airline they're choosing and traveling. Because right now, if you look, there's so many categories of airlines, like low cost airlines to the high standard airlines, Star Alliance airlines like Emirates. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, based on the cost, different airlines provide different facilities. So the first thing is know your rules. know your the basic information of that airline, so
Mm.
that if something happens, at least you know that you can, because you know the rules, you can start speaking or trying to prove your innocence.
Yes.
So do a research of the basic rules of what that airlines provide. And the
Mm.
second thing is, when you travel, be very vigilant of
Mm.
what's happening in and around the situations. If you feel something uncomfortable or anything like that, be very vigilant.
Mm.
And if you think there's a breach of the safety, then you can approach the, if you're on ground staff, you can approach the airport staff, or you have airport police, airport security, you can approach them. Or in the air, there's cabin crew,
Yeah.
who are the in charge. So be
Yeah.
very vigilant. And at the same time, sometimes the situations are very, it's very situational, and your brain doesn't work at that time, and after that you sit down and think, hey, I would have done that, I would have
Yeah.
done this, because we all are human beings, and it's and every person acts differently. So try to take the evidences, as much as possible to back up yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you can prove your innocence, or uh, anything. If you're a
Mm.
victim, or if you're not a victim, if you're a bully,
Yeah.
either parties, you can prove, good or bad, you can prove. So be very
Exactly.
vigilant, take evidences, and also report the incidents immediately, whether you
Mm.
have proof or not. At least report the incident immediately, because sometimes, uh, might be then and there, it might be resolved. Or because sometimes if you report that after a week or 2 weeks realizing it, till then the evidence is gone, isn't
Yeah.
it? And or it's very hard to find the evidence, because it's passenger, it's very hard to trace the passengers once they leave the flight, until and
Mm.
unless it's a life and death situation, an airline can pull their details. But report immediately, whether you have proof or evidence or not. At
Mm.
least it will be recorded. Yeah, so these are the things.
But Ali, you mentioned about knowing the rules and if it's a low cost airline versus it's a Star Alliance airline. But what
Yeah.
I, as a passenger, I'm seeking is the minimum safety. I'm flying with
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
I'm trusting my life with the onboard staff for those many hours I'm over on board, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
is safety coming at a cost then? Is safety directly connected to the money I'm paying for my ticket? Is that how it works nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's what it's very situational. Again, safety, it might come with a cost, it might not,
Mm.
because the ticket is providing you the services in the aircraft,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, Airlines, at the end of the day, that's a business,
Mm.
right? Whatever, like if you say low cost, because it's a low fare, that means the services will be less provided. But yes, as per the DGCA, safety is not to be compromised. It might
Mm.
be, it's one of the strict rules of DGCA. Safety is
Yeah.
not compromised. The first priority of the airline is safety of the passengers. It might
Absolutely.
be, yeah, it might be, what you say, like a bully or something in the incidents, or might be emergency like crash landing or ditching, or
Hmm.
fire. From the minimal to the maximum, the first thing is safety of the passenger. So of course safety is not compromised, and it doesn't come with the money.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Fair.
you
Yeah.
can only buy the facilities with the money.
But
Yeah.
not your like human safety or human rights, which we all carry along with ourselves. I
No,
agree with you.
no.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. It's one of the strict rules of DGCA.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But moving on to the other part, and this
Yeah.
I'm very keen to know from you, Alia, is like, all the international, the Star Alliance Airways, they serve a little bit of alcohol. And I think there's an upper limit on how much you can serve, right?
Yes, yes.
But having seen the recent incidents, some of them were directly linked to the fact that the passenger overestimated their capacity, right? And they went into
Yes.
that state and they were unsure of what they were doing, which caused a mayhem, right?
Yeah.
So, looking into all of these incidents, do you think it's fair to put a restriction on alcohol consumption in the aircraft? And can we say that that's a feasible way to think about it to prevent these incidents?
Well, again, it depends, because if you look, alcohol, again, it's one of the services that is provided by the airlines,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's again, it's it's again based on low cost airlines to Star Alliance airlines, where depending on the money, alcohol is like a luxury that
Mm.
you serve.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, but of course, again, safety rules are always there. There is always a restriction that if a
Mm.
passenger, if as a crew, that's where the crew comes in and be trained, like we are trained.
Right.
uh, so when we feel that passenger is going out of control or something, we have rights to say no to them. And we have rights to not to serve them alcohol. And if
Mm.
it goes beyond the control, we have rights. Cabin crew have rights to refrain them.
Mm.
Or and if it goes beyond, then captain can intervene and also can notify the ground staff.
Right.
So safety is not compromised just because alcohol is provided. It's just a luxury because people are paying money,
Mm.
and it's one of the services that airlines is giving. But yes, but it doesn't mean that we have to compromise with the safety. uh yeah.
Fair point earlier, but then sometimes that when I read about these incidents, I think
Mm.
most of us we take our privilege for granted that I am
Yes.
flying business class, I can do
Mm.
whatever the hell I want because I've paid
Yes.
X amount of money for
Yes.
my ticket. In
Yes.
those rare incidents where I'm clearly taking my privilege for granted, I'm not respecting my co-passenger,
Mm.
shouldn't we be imposing these hard ban rules that what, you're not going to be served anything else, or you just
Mm.
kind of banned off from flying on any of these Star Alliance airports? Because you know which case I'm referring to, the case that
Yes. Yes. Yes.
started off this year, right? That
Yes.
particular passenger was just let off for 30 days, and
Yes.
that's nothing amount to what he has done or what he unknowingly did to his co-passenger.
Yes. Yes.
Then why can't we just impose, and I'm being very wishfully thinking here, that why can't we impose certain laws which are stricter in nature? Of course we are buying tickets, but then we see these incidents are increasing, and safety, as you say, DJC has also mentioned, it's of the utmost priority.
Mm.
Can we not survive without alcohol for 8 hours? What is the problem if you don't serve me alcohol for 9 hours?
See, that's what I'm saying again. Like, if you look at few flights, okay, few of the airlines, for example,
Hmm.
say Saudi Arabian Airlines that I had been, I did work for 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That airline doesn't serve alcohol because of
Hmm.
religion issues. Okay,
Right.
religion
Right.
thing.
Hmm.
That airline doesn't serve alcohol, no alcohol at all. Okay, so yes, every airline, like, that is one of the example. But again, if you look at the Star Alliance airlines like Emirates, okay,
Yeah.
they serve the high class luxurious alcohols, like, the menu and all. It's very high class, especially in
Hmm.
first class and business class,
Hmm.
because of the amount of things, the amount of money that they put in.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, of course. And to be, again, a friend, it's a business. We have to understand it's a business.
Hmm.
The rules are already there. The rules are already there. As said, um, this is not new because of social media. These all are getting exposed. But if you look at past 10 to 15 years,
Hmm.
yes, these issues are always there. And that's where the trained crew comes in. uh, it's again up to the airline decision whether they really want to ban the alcohol or not. Because what happens is, they do a budgeting thing. It's a business. They sit and do the budgeting thing, saying, okay, if we say no to alcohol, then how many
Yeah.
passengers will drop out, and how many passengers, what are the profits, what are the
Right.
loss, like. Because we are speaking about serving alcohol, but if you look on the other side, the catering side,
Hmm.
even the alcohol comes with a cost. It's not free.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially if you look at first class and business class, it's a high pricey alcohol. It's not a low pricey alcohol that is served. It's a very premium alcohol
Hmm.
that is served in first class and business class. So if a passenger is
Yeah.
paying that much money, they also expect. So that's what. So we have to look from all the sides, like the business point of view. So how it works is,
Hmm.
if the number of cases are
Right.
less and the crew is trained, and if crew is handling well, then why not we keep the service and take follow the DGCA rules, which are already being implied about the safety of the passengers,
Mm.
train crew, and then handle the situations. Right. But again, on the vice versa, if the situations are literally increasing, okay, and then, okay, even if we stop alcohol, because the cases are literally increasing and the crew is
Mm.
unable to handle, what to do? Is it like let let um, let us make a loss in the business, or what is the alternative? So at the end of the day, it's the balancing of the equation between the business and the cases, because right
Yeah.
now we are only looking at one side of what you say, the issues,
Yeah.
right? But if you look at the other side, it's pure business. Okay, airlines in they look for profit. So of course, it's always the balancing of things.
Yeah.
So that's how they look, number of cases versus number of profits they do. So it's just because we have come across these situations doesn't mean that we can literally ban. We
Mm.
can say that the crew needs to be trained in a better way, and
Yeah.
also the crew should be handling the cases in a way. Sometimes when crew fails to handle the cases, even though the DGCA rules and all are implied, it depends on the crew, because at the end of the day, crew are the main phase of the airline, cabin
Mm.
crew, and they are the one who are up 40,000 feet,
Yeah.
and they are the ones. So if they handle to fail, I mean, if they fail to handle the situation, then everything falls apart.
Yeah.
So that also plays a very
But
important role.
but in those situations, earlier recently I saw a clipping. I think it was one of the domestic airlines in India, right? And
Mm.
sometimes not only just India, I think overall, sometimes even the cabin crew is mishandled by the passengers. They kind of
Yes.
shouted at or
Mm.
whatever. So if the cabin crew is getting shouted at, then how do you tackle that situation in that situation? Can the captain intervene and do something about
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
What are
Yes.
the laws that determine the situation then?
See, with my experience, I'll tell you, there are situations where passengers do yell at cabin crew. There's also
Hmm.
other way around where cabin crew also are very rude with the passengers. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, of course. If a passenger is harassing a woman, a
Hmm.
female cabin crew, obviously we have rights to raise our voice, and
Hmm.
of course, captain has the rights. He can refrain the passenger, and then once we land on ground, it can be we handed we hand them to the ground staff and the airport
Yeah.
security to make sure that the issue is taken seriously. These cases do happen, and uh, the ground staff and the airport staff, I mean to say the airport security, they do come in and take the serious actions. But again, it depends on how influential that person is. That's the thing. Again, it's a game changer. That's what I'm saying. Very situational. Like if that person is normal, ordinary person, straightforward, easy peasy. But if that person is influential, that's where the game changes. So that's what
And
it's
does
very
this
tricky.
happen everywhere? Like the position matters globally, or is it only in South Asia that you are privileged and you get off, but in another developed country, law is the same for everyone? Is it the same everywhere, or what happens then?
I mean, like attacking the cabin crew.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it does happen globally. Honestly speaking, we are just speaking about South Asian, but let me say the worst is when you go to a few of the European countries and other side of South American airlines.
Right. Mm.
Yeah, so it does happen globally. Again, it's situational, like how which sort of passengers you get in.
Mm.
Sometimes, like as experienced cabin crew, we can say if we are going to one particular destination, we can say, hey, these passengers are very tricky to handle. Like if this passengers, okay, this we are going to this place, we'll have a
Yeah.
peaceful flight. So so based on the experience, because we work day to day, we can understand, but this is a global thing. It happens,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's where the DGCA comes in actually. Yeah,
Uh,
it's not
yeah.
South Asian, it's
But
not
it's
only
global.
South
Yeah.
Asian.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a question for you from Saleh. She says, "What happens when you're traveling for 20 plus hours and someone misbehaves with you?"
Well, yeah, I absolutely understand long flights. Very tiring, very tiring, and sometimes that fatigue and that tiredness, people do misbehave because they lose their patience or they're desperate, the desperation that
But
they want something. Yes,
but that can't be justified. Like you're
yes, yes,
tired. That doesn't mean you go around
yes, yes.
misbehaving, right?
Yes, you're right. You're right. See, the same thing applies if, yes, long flights and someone misbehaves with you. The first thing is first let the cabin crew know. Okay, rather than, for example, we both are co-passengers. Okay, we are flying from Sydney to Washington, which is very
Mm,
long flight. All right.
mm,
Now, I have a problem with you. So first, rather than me speaking directly with you, go via mediator, let the cabin
mm,
crew know. If the cabin crew doesn't respond, then go to the flight
yeah.
supervisor. Okay. So if cabin you say cabin crew, this is the problem. If she's not responding, then go to the
Mm,
flight supervisor saying why this is the thing I'm happening. I let the cabin crew know, but there's no action taken because flight supervisor, it's like the flight in charge where
all right.
she reports to the base, like everyone reports to the base, but she's the one person, like, the, I can say, like team lead,
Mm, mm,
where she speaks with the manager, the captain. So let the uh, flight supervisor know, and also meanwhile take the evidences or proofs. If anything such sort happen, have patience. If the situation is getting overboard, then because in the flight it's like the cabin crew, because until and unless it's like the worst situation, then captain can intervene, but till then it's like, the cabin crew will be handling the situation.
mm,
So make sure that the flight supervisor knows this. If they both are reluctant or not doing, be a bit assertive saying why this is not happening, and that's where the rules come in. That's where I'm saying have the basic knowledge of what the rules of that airlines is, what that airlines is providing. You got what I mean? So that's where
mm,
when they're not acting, when not acting, that's where you can start saying, hey, this airline said blah 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 1 2 3, but when this issue is happening, you people are not taking as per the DGCA. This is the safety, but what crew is doing, how you're be like, I know, that's why I'm speaking this, but as passenger they don't know. That's why it's better you do a bit
yeah,
of homework, so that when this sort happens and when you start speaking the rules, trust me, they will do it, because
mm,
that will go into their appraisals. If it's not happening, you get down, you take all the evidences, you write a letter to the flight with all the details, with your flight number, saying the crew
yes,
this is the incident that happened, this is the crew that have flew with the airline, the names, things and all, and then this is what has not happening, and the
mm,
airline will definitely take the action very seriously. The airline will, trust me, I have seen the crew who had been terminated because they have not done their job properly.
okay,
Because at the end of the day, I'm saying airline, it's a business, right? And passengers are the one which gives them business. So every
mm,
passenger is very important for the airline. So they take it very seriously. Any passenger complaint, airlines, any airlines from small, low cost airline to high cost airline, they take it very seriously, and crew will be scrutinized. So know your rules properly. Uh, Let the cabin crew know, rather than directly speaking with the person. Let the first cabin crew know. If not, let the flight supervisor know. If they're not taking action, ask them why this is not happening. Take all the evidences, and after you get down, let the security, airport security or staff know, and also let the write a letter to the airline complaining, like saying this is the incident happened, this is what is not happening.
yeah, fair
But
enough.
this is the other side. But positive side, if they take actions, that's good. That's good. But never ever directly interact with the person who's abusing you, because it just escalates the situation.
Mm,
And then in that it's like people who scream, they become the victim. It's not like, for example, it's your fault, but I'm screaming at you, so I'll be noted, not you.
Hmm.
It's again the way you handle situations. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just one question before we kind of, I'm also mindful of the time, Ale. You know, you keep mentioning that you keep your evidences ready, right?
Mm.
Obviously, if I am being mishandled, I'm in a state of shock and trauma,
Yeah,
right?
yes,
I'm
yes,
still
yes, yes,
processing, I am on air, I've been
yes,
mishandled,
yes.
whatever.
I
And
know.
I
Yes,
lose my evidence, right? I
of course,
don't
of
have
course.
it.
Yes, yes.
Does that mean I'm still not innocent? Does that mean that my case won't be taken up by the officials just because I could not track my evidence because I was just hyperventilating because of what happened to me? What
No,
happens is,
yes, yes. No, I absolutely agree with you. Of course, it's very situational. In that place, you and I, yeah, we don't know how the That's what the situation suddenly comes in, and that's where a person diligence comes in. How you react to a situation. Yes. See, if you don't have evidence, it's like that's if you report then and there, that report immediately. Even if you don't have evidence,
mm,
at least for example, something happened in the flight, right? You land,
mm,
and then okay, in the flight you let your cabin crew know. Say worst case they have not taken
yeah,
any action, okay, and then you
mm,
land, okay, and then you go to your airport staff, okay, the ground staff, and say, hey, this is what happened. Say the ground staff
mm,
also push you away, saying, okay, 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 we'll do, and they push you away. Then go to security, okay, airport security. I know it's
yeah,
a bit of thing, but uh, then and there be assertive and say, I want to speak with the security person, and this is what
right,
happened. I need justice. And that's where again the rules say that this is the rules, like this is the like the aviation or the airline says
rules, yeah,
why the action is not taken.
mm,
So that so when you start speaking, people will know, they will easily know, especially experienced people in this industry, they know that whether, like, if something happens with me, I'll speak up. That's why they say, okay, she knows the internal things, that's why they'll be aware, because they might lose their job.
mm.
But if you don't have evidence, that's fine, but report immediately to the
Okay.
airport security
Yeah.
as soon as you get. Yeah, and also
Did-
try to I mean, at least ask your fellow neighbors, like passengers, if they are happy to help as a witness or speak up for
mm,
you,
mm, yeah.
or quickly take photos if you're, just remember this, quickly take photos, blah blah. At least you'll
Yeah.
have something. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of evidence, I have another question from Salia. She says, "How do you keep evidence when you're being
Hmm.
sexually harassed?"
That's a good question. That's a good question. Of course, if you're sexually abused, that's always unexpected, right? No one will know that, oh, I'll be sexually abused and I'll be.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But then and there, you have to raise your voice in by letting the crew know
Yeah.
and supervisor know, because we have rights to speak up. Again, as said, DGCA rules, safety of the passengers is first. Just because you're getting abused doesn't mean that you have to keep quiet. Just because you don't have evidence doesn't mean that you should not speak up. You have to speak up then and there. You
Yeah.
have to let the other person know that, make a noise in a smart way, that the person who is sexually abusing or harassing you in the flight knows that he's going or she's going to be in trouble. Because in the flight it's only cabin crew and flight supervisor and captain. If they don't do it, you have to raise your voice,
Yeah.
or you have to request your fellow passengers, the other victims, like, not victims, sorry, I mean your fellow
Yeah.
passengers
Yeah.
who have witnessed you, to support you in a polite way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now makes sense. All are very valid points. But before I wrap up, what would be your message around aviation safety and travel safety to our listeners and audiences on Chai Chat and Community?
Well, see, aviation safety, safety is important everywhere. It's not only in aviation, even on ground. It's very important.
Hmm.
Even I take care of my safety. Even I'm
Yeah.
a woman, and yeah. So the first thing is, again, repeating, know your be very vigilant. Be very vigilant. Don't hesitate in raising your voice. If you feel anywhere insecurity, raise your voice. go and report immediately, and also know your rules, have the basic information of, it's not only about aviation, but wherever you go, especially travels, it might be train, bus, or even if you go to a party or anywhere, do a research, what is it about, how is it about, what do a bit of background, so that you'll
Right.
have confidence when there's a sudden situation that occurs. At least you will know your brain, you have some information in your brain about it,
Yeah.
and you can think, okay, this is what has happened, why it's not happening. So do research, not only aviation but anywhere you go. Do
Yeah.
your basic research, know your work, and then report immediately.
Absolutely. Thank you for those words earlier. I mean, such important. I had never even thought in my life that before boarding a flight, I have to do my homework on how to keep myself safe. But I think such are the times that we live in. But thank you so much for your wise words. And those of us who are listening to us, watching us, I really hope that you had a lot to take away from earlier's experience. Please do your research about aviation rules, how you can keep safe. And it's a crazy world that we live in for sure. So
Mm.
please take care and stay safe. And I'll have a very good night. Keep safe, and I'll be in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, Chris, and thank you very much, all the viewers. Hope you have got some productive information about it. Any feedback, let me know. Happy to take it.
Thanks.